folks, thanks for joining us for another Vintage Legends. My name's Graham, with the Vintage Guitar Players group. You can catch us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/the Vintage Place, and we're on Instagram as well at 95 Vintage Legends. So thank you for joining us today for another Vintage Legends. We're here with Kath and the Kick. So thanks, Kath and Tony, for joining us this evening. Thank you very, very much.
Hi, Graham.
Hi, Graham. No worries.
So I'm curious, in your own words, can you guys tell us a bit about your music? What kind of music you play?
Yeah, so we're a three-piece, bass, drums, guitar. Tony and I sing, and I'd describe us as kind of heavy alt rock, grunge. Some of it's like some of it maybe a bit punky, but yeah, go for the heavy alternative side of things.
So it's just my kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
so, yeah, very loud.
How long have you guys been going?
The band has been going for quite a few years. I can't even remember, to be honest. I'm going to guess at about 8 or 9. But Tony joined us. Can you remember when it was, Tony? Was it about a year now?
Yeah, 2.5 years now.
2.5?
Yeah.
Time flies, man.
Yeah, it does indeed.
So yeah, we're just really enjoying working, like, doing the music scene up north, wherever we can get gigs down south as well. So just trying to have a good time with it.
Yeah, well, that's awesome.
We're trying to make our foray into Scotland as soon as we can as well. We've still not had a gig in Scotland yet, so we're trying our best.
Well, listen, you guys will need to keep me posted for that, because they will absolutely definitely be there.
Yeah.
Amazing. In terms of like gear and stuff, I know you guys are both vintage endorsers. How did you stumble upon them?
Kath, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm a good friend of JJ from the City Kids.
Okay.
So he's connected with vintage, etc. So the original introduction came through that side of things. And historically, my family's done some work with JHS as well, who supply vintage guitars. So that's cool. Combined. And just a general interest in the instruments. I know there's quite a lot of bands and artists that they work with around, because obviously we're Leeds-based. So kind of all linked in.
Awesome. And what were you just there, Tony? Was it just a kind of natural connection from there? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, Kath sort of introduced me, saying, look, I've been using the vintage stuff. As I spoke earlier on, I know Gav from years ago.
Yeah. And
also, I was alluding to earlier on, I've seen that, vintage had done a real killer version of the Les Paul Greenie. We've got rave reviews, and I thought that seems like a company that puts out some quality stuff. So when Kath went, well, I'll use this, and what you can have a look at it, and I went along and tried the one I've got right here, the reissue VJ75. It's lovely. So yeah, I took one of those home with me.
Right. I'm intrigued. Since there's been the reissue of the kind of tribute or kind of signature model through Kirk Hammett, since he's got his paws on it, I'm kind of intrigued just to see how the kind of vintage version's going. Thanks, Paul. What attracts you guys to using the instruments? I mean, like, you could have your choice of pretty much anything you want, but what kind of stands out to you guys about makes them special?
Do you want to answer that one, Tone, and I'll go after you?
Just well made. The hardware on them, it's quality stuff. The Wilkinson stuff. It's well put together. So if you're kind of using them on the road and stuff, that it's not going to just fall to bits after 2 gigs. And road worthy, shall we say? I think that's the thing. Just built, very very well built, and feel good in the hand, really. So yeah. Kath, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so when originally was introduced to some of the guitars, I didn't know all the ranges. The one that I've got is the vintage V100 VMX series, so it's a bit of a limited edition. I know they're quite hard to get hold of now.
Yeah.
So the guitar itself is really easy to play. It's got a matte finish to it, so it doesn't show up any like marks on stage, which can look a bit bad. The neck's really thin, the action's good, so you can move around very easily whilst you're playing it.
Yeah,
and it's not too heavy either, which you don't want to be. The last guitar I had was an Ibanez, and that was really heavy.
Yeah, I would really, really, really love them to see a kind of a version of that put into production as a regular model, just a kind of V100, but just like totally satin black, all black hardware and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks cool. It's slick and it's great sustain on it as well. So good for solos and bits and pieces, but also got a good chug to it.
Yeah. I very, very much dig those. And if you guys, if I can start with Kath, if you was to, kind of go and get a Pro Shop model or something made, or if you would like to see some other stuff from them, what would you like to see? What would you get?
I'd probably keep the guitar pretty much the same, maybe have a whammy bar on it, just so I could
Pretty
do
cool.
some interesting like sounds with it. But I quite like the simplicity of it. Maybe have some more like dexterity with the tuning, so just a little bit more solid in the tuning. That would be something that I'd look at, just because it really does get thrown about a bit. But I like it.
Next, I think in terms of a trim, do you reckon something like a Floyd Rose or something? Do you think, or maybe not quite as complicated as that?
Yeah, keep it simple, I think. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it for like big sweeping things, unless I could do that. But try and make some more unique sounds rather than like the classic done that before. So I'd try and do something different with it, make the guitar sound different.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is the one thing I do love as well about Floyd Rose trims, just the things you can do with them. And I have very, very fortunately a prototype that's hiding behind there of the kind of almost like the VMX with the Floyd Rose, but it's like live. You break a string, you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. Plus,
Well,
like the drop D stuff as well.
yeah,
A bit of a pain.
yeah. No, I was not half. Well, what do you reckon then, Tony? What about yourself if you were going to get yourself a signature? I know you're a fan of the active pickups, so would you?
Yeah, it's a weird one for me because obviously being a 5-string player in the band, a bit more of a scale length, about 35-inch minimum scale length maybe. I'd also look at some beefy kind of humbucker type pickups. That's what I've currently got on the bass I'm currently using for my main. And then just a real good, active hardware on there with bass treble, middle and cut. And the one thing that a lot of people forget when they design active stuff is the passive switch, just to be able to turn it off
Yeah.
when you need it, because you don't need all that row, 24/7. So yeah, just a nice, being able to turn it off, an active cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, mainly the bit of a longer scale length for me, really. And yeah, I don't mind it being heavy, weighty. It's for a bass player, a good piece of wood is what you want. You want it to sustain for days. But yeah, that's what I'd be interested in. Just active, longer scale length, and just that active cut as well when it's needed.
Yeah, I agree because I love the kind of versatility you get with the cut. It makes such a difference sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
Well, music wise, what have you guys got lined up? I mean, have you got any, kind of lined up for recordings or any kind of other kind of gigs?
I'll do.
You go with the recording, and I'll get the gig list up.
Fine, yeah, we'll do that then. Recording wise, we've got quite a lot of a backlog of new material that we want to get recorded, but we quite enjoy putting them out song by song, doing a video for each one and making a bit of a feature.
Yeah.
So we're working with a friend of ours. The next phase is trying to get down 2 to 4 tracks. We yet decided whether we'll release them as like an EP or just stick with that single thing.
Oh, cool.
But we're still in that phase where we've not really. I believe that we're still trying to find and capture us live. Each recording that we do, we get a step closer to it.
Okay, that's the thing. It's like it's so difficult, dependent upon even because a lot of the time, playing different places, even just the different speakers and the cabs and such, making such a like, oh, that sounded a bit different tonight, sort of thing. Unless you're taking all your kit with you all the time.
Well, Tony's in charge of that. So.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd for that. In regards to if you sound, and if you turn up and it's no disrespect to some of the equipment you turn up to, you think, oh, good grief. So yeah,
it's not great though.
No. So thankfully, we've managed to kind of downscale our setups. Kath's got a 2x12. I'm running a 2x10 and a 2x12. I'm running 2 separate bass rigs through each. So it's quite small. It's got a footprint of a 4x10, but I've got like kind of hell going on out of that 4x10 footprint.
That's
So
pretty
yeah,
cool. I know it's
yeah,
one thing that I am very aware of is if I'm going to be playing anywhere, is taking stuff with us because I have sitting here an Angle Thunder head and cab, which is I think they just deliberately make them heavy. But the
yeah,
other thing I do have is this little blue guitar amp one, which is
yeah,
amazing. The only issue I've ever had with that is I'm so scared that I'm going to forget to lift it up because it's small. You know
yeah,
you're loading out if you've got some of these like kind of older amps and stuff, but with that you're like, oh, we'll go
yeah,
for
yeah,
it now.
yeah. But yeah, no, we get away. It's kind of we're used to our sound, and we just travel with that. And yeah, even the kind of smallest place we can kind of usually fit into,
Yeah,
not too bad.
yeah. It's so helpful to be able to have your own kind of rig as well because, like you say, it's just a consistency if nothing else.
Yeah,
Yeah. And if you arrive to a gig and you haven't brought, I think we've done that before, Tony, and the
yeah,
difference you really do miss, especially with your
yeah,
bass sound. It's so
yeah,
important for filling everything out, and your setup's completely unique. So
Yeah,
without that, I think it would really affect what it sound like live.
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
100%. And I'm sure
That's
Matt would
it.
agree as well with drum kits.
Yeah,
Jeez, oh,
yeah,
ooh.
yeah. Especially being a lefty because he's got to get
Yeah.
up and change it all around.
Oh no.
Yeah,
As the bass drum sliding across the floor, that was
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it.
Uh, who loves live music? I know.
Mhm.
So, dates wise, then, what have you got in the books then?
So we're playing this Friday at the dive bar in the parish in Huddersfield,
Okay,
supporting a band called Hawks, all
okay,
female band. Yeah, yeah. So that'll be good. So if you're watching before that comes out, please come down. And then we're playing in Whitehaven 2 weeks later, up in Cumbria, at the Twisted Tongue, and that's on the 27th of September. And then we're back to our usual stomping ground of Bradford on the 11th of October, a place called Underground. And then we're kind of across into, I think it's in Wales, this one. It's in Deeside, which it is just over the border, I believe.
okay.
On the following evening in a place called McLean's on the 12th. And then we're over to Liverpool on the 17th, a place called Soto. And then on the 26th, we're in Barnsley at the old schoolhouse. And then the 15th of November, we're up in Gateshead at the Black Bull.
Smashing.
There you go. That's
So, full
our up and
calendar ahead.
coming. Yeah, a wee bit of travelling. But it would have been, I've been saying to the guy who books our gigs, if we can get to Whitehaven, it's literally just half an hour up to the M74 and we could be in Scotland quite quick. So we'll see if he can get us a gig up that way. At that point, it would be lovely. But if not, we will crack Scotland one day.
Yeah. Well, listen, if there's anything I can do to help in that regard as well, let us know. I'm more than happy to help
Nice
with
one.
it.
Cheers.
And lastly, if I can ask, then whereabouts can we find you guys online?
Kath, over to you with that one.
all the usual places. You've got the website, which is kathandthekicks.com. Then you've got Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and then Spotify, and all the usuals. Everywhere that you could normally find a band will be there.
And, numerous venues, get yourself down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing. Listen, thank you so much, guys, for joining us this evening. I really, really do appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. All right.
No problem at all, Graham.
Much
Thanks.
appreciated.
Okay. Very
Cheers.
much appreciated. Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye bye.